Hey guys, Pam here with Craft How, and I've got an advanced tutorial for you today. We're going to do a multi-layer knockout. Basically, we're going to be knocking an image out of a knocked out image. So let's get started. It's going to be a fun one. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is tell you really quickly where I get a lot of my images, and I use a website called allsilhouettes.com. They have thousands of different icons available that trace really easily, and their terms of use for about 90% of their images specifically state you can do personal or commercial use, so it's a really great resource for crafters. So we're going to get started with our knockout, and knockouts are relatively easy as far as the science behind it. It's basically taking one image and subtracting it from another. So this is an object, this is wording turned into a compound path, this is an object, and this is an object. So what we're going to do is create our first knockout by layering our heart over our wording, selecting both of those items, holding Alt, and we're going to put a copy there and a copy there. With our first selection, highlight the wording and the object, go into the object menu, modify crop, and then with a second copy, object, modify, subtract. And this is a real simple knockout. It's the same thing that we learned in our previous video. What we're going to do is change that into a red color so that you guys can see it and get it lined up properly. I know I'm working a little bit small, but here is why. So we've finished one knockout in just a minute there, and what we want to do now is knock this soccer ball out. So this is two separate objects. We are going to group them to make one object, and then layer our soccer ball. Now remember, we want this to be on top, so bring to the front. We're going to knock our soccer ball out of our heart image, right? So, just like we did with our first knockout, select both objects, hold Alt, one copy, two copies. And just like before, the top one we're going to do object, modify, crop. The second one we're going to do object, modify, subtract. And this is the part that gets a little tricky because now we have multiple layers here. I'm going to highlight this, and if you notice, these are still grouped. This is still one object. So what we want to do, I'm going to get that back in place. What we want to do is highlight this section, right click, ungroup, and then we want our wording to be one object and our heart to be another. So we're going to shift and then click all of the red pieces to make our red section one group. Control G group. Now when we move it around, it's one piece. We can move it off to the side. Select all of these pieces. Control G group. Put our heart back in place. And now we need to work on the soccer ball piece. And if we highlight this one, you'll see we have all these little teeny pieces here where the heart used to be. We only want the soccer ball. So what we're going to do is zoom in a little more to make it easy. And just like we did with the other section, hold Shift and click all of the soccer ball pieces. Make sure that we get all of the sections. Sometimes you don't need the little teeny tiny pieces like that, but just to show you, Control G group, make sure we've got it all. Looks like I'm missing one tiny little corner there. Shift, click that guy, Control G group. So now the soccer ball is one piece. And then just to clean everything up, we're going to highlight that area and delete all those tiny little end pieces of the heart. Move our soccer ball back in place. And just use our arrows to make sure that it lines up properly. And that's all you've got to do, guys. If you want to go back in and add a registration marks, you can see that in my previous video if you want to line everything back up to cut. Very, very easy, very, very complicated design, really impressive outcome. I hope you guys love it. Facebook.com/crafthow. If you have any other questions, have a great day.